Hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Something a wee bit different now, it's still in my vampire theme, is a look at the collected, I suppose these are called trade paperbacks, of the Vampire Winter's Teeth comics, and why they might be interested in to you, not just as an interesting story about vampires, but also as a storyteller's aid, player's guide. It's got some stuff in here I wasn't expecting, which delighted me. So these came out during lockdown, so I did pick up the comics as it came out one by one, and just to keep it all together nice on my shelf, I bought the trade paperbacks when they came out and passed the comics on to a friend. So what do we have? We have two volumes, book one and book two, and each volume has two kind of sets of stories going along. Has the main one, which is about Cecily Bain, who is a Bruja, navigating her way through the politics of the twin cities of Minnesota and St. Paul's. So as you can see, the art's pretty good, all right. And the story has, her storyline has her navigating the politics of the city, the Primogen working against each other. You see boons being used, investigations, Primogen moving against other Primogen, both subtly and less subtly. And also how she still connects to a mortal family. So I would say she's probably necking on towards an Ancilla. She's certainly one of the main troubleshooters for the city. How she connects to a mortal sister, and how her life is taken, and it's a really interesting look at different ways of representing the sort of connections that vampires have to their humanity and what keeps them going. And the second one continues that story of Cecily Bain with quite an important NPC turning up, Justicar Carfax of the Tremere. So that's one part of the story. The second part of the story, the comic, is taken up with the story of Anarchs. So in the first one, we see the Anarchs on a cross-country mission. They're obviously getting paid for it, and there's Anarchs and a Thin Blood. And it's really interesting seeing how the Thin Blood works and operates with other vampires, how they work as sort of a coterie crossing the city. And that story's followed on in the second book about kind of what they're doing after the mission. If it was just the story of vampire that's going on, the books would still be pretty cool. But actually, if I share with them at the back, you've got some extra materials for the role-playing game. So as we see here, we've got NPCs and we've got law sheets. So starting off, law sheets, Minneapolis and St. Paul. We've got the character sheets for the main protagonists in the game. Some more law sheets for the Nakutu and Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. Some new powers, amalgam powers for disciplines. And then the key movers and shakers in the city, the Primogen Council. There's all their character sheets as well. And a character sheet at the back as well, which is pretty awesome. And that is followed up in the book 2 as well. So again, we have some more characters sheets. So I'm looking at the Anarchs as well. Finishing off the court, the Primogen. We have a law sheet for the Mortician's Army. Some new coterie types. Now the next part is pretty cool. There's some more Thin Blood alchemy, but this is done in the style of a menu from the place where the Thin Blood's working. It's like a cafe restaurant ran by the Thin Bloods. So it's all pretty cool. Now, from this point forward, I'm going to talk a wee bit about spoilers. There's a really cool plot line in this one called the Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. And I was inspired to incorporate that into my game. And they basically ghouls, and this is spoilers for the plotline, so feel free to stop listening now. But they're basically ghouls who hunt vampires. Well, they're not just hunting vampires to kill them. What they do is take different parts of the vampire and incorporate them into themselves and gain their powers. So in my Philadelphia games, I was able to incorporate that into a set of ghouls, and a character was being introduced to the coterie. A player dropped out, so a new player joined, and his ghoul had been corrupted by the wolves in sheep's clothing, and they had him sort of captured, and the coterie saved him and brought him in. So yeah, really good plot line. I really enjoyed using it. And with the second book, again, one of the big mortal baddies is the Mortician's Army, which is a set of hunters who have an interesting Mortician's hammer that they use for attacking and destroying vampires with. It gets a bit gruesome the way they do it, but certainly that would be a really interesting group of hunters to bring into your game, or use as inspiration in a hunter's game perhaps. So there you have it, the Winter's Teeth vampire books. Like I say, really good story. It's got some decent role-playing game support in the back as well. If you like vampire and you like role-playing games, what's not to love about them? What we have next coming up, and there's an advert for this in the back, is Crimson Thor, World of Darkness. So I think that's going to start introducing werewolves. I haven't got around to picking that up yet, but I will do. The Anarchs storyline at the back kind of has the werewolves of Garou involved in that, and with Werewolf 5 coming up this year, I'm quite excited by Werewolf. So yes, that's definitely on my agenda. So there you go, a look at something a bit different, a bit interesting for the World of Darkness. I'm a pretty hardcore vampire fan, you know, I'm glad I bought them, and yeah, it's an interesting read. I hope you're having a great time right now. So that's bye from me, and I look forward to chatting to you again. So bye bye.